Hello and welcome to the Gary Dunn Show for September 16th, 2025. I'm your host, Gary Smith, and on today's show, we're going to look back at Saturday's exciting win against Westchester. We'll take a look at everything going on in the PSAC, and then we'll break down this upcoming week's opponent, the Lock Haven Bald Eagles. But without further ado, we'll bring on Coach Gary Dunn. And Coach, like a Hallmark card said I saw in the mall the other day, if you're surrounded by Garys in the morning, you're having a good day. So you got two Garys on the set, and I tell you what, Coach, one of my favorite things is, Saturday was a beautiful day, leaving the parking lot, seeing you, dodging the lantern flies like all of us, but big smile on your face, fist-bumping fans after that win, going to the alumni tailgate. But what an exciting afternoon of college football on Saturday.
Yeah, anytime you can get a win in the PSAC, you feel good about it. I think as a program, from our coaches to our guys, everyone will tell you we got a lot of things to work on. Did enough to win the football game, but when you're in the PSAC, we'll take any win we can get. And I was proud of the way the guys battled. We faced a little bit of adversity on Saturday. Probably didn't play our best football, but found a way to win the game, and all three phases contributed.
And this Saturday marked the first game of PSAC crossover play. So going into the preseason polls, both California and Westchester picked third in their respective divisions. And Coach, we usually do a pretty ABC breakdown of the game, offense, defense, special teams. But I think this week we got to start with special teams because that was the difference. At the very beginning of the game. Your offense is held to a punting situation, and then a punt and a fumble, special teams recovery. And that's just, we talk about it every year. It seems like your special teams are a difference maker, and you guys play to the whistle because a lot of teams might not have rushed down the field that way, but getting that fumble in plus position and then scoring on the ensuing drive, that really took momentum for you guys.
Yeah, we met yesterday as a team, and we charted our special teams, and I really thought we dominated the game special teams-wise. We called the four core special teams where kickoff, punt return, and kickoff return won all four phases of those games, of that game. I thought the punt team did a really good job, and I challenged the guys special teams-wise. I wasn't happy week one with some of our special teams play. I think we can be dynamic on special teams. I think we've got good depth in our program. I think we have guys that can make plays in special teams. So, starting off with that punt that we recovered was a huge play. They had minus 7 yards in the punt return game, which is used. Andrew Gonzalez did a really good job. He hit a punt for over 50 yards. Couple things we need to work on. We had an opportunity to pin them deep a couple of times and didn't locate the ball, but I thought the punt team played well. And while we're on special teams, they had a high snap and we blocked a kick for a safety, which was a big deal in that game. Our field goal team executed. Harry kicked 3 field goals that were huge field goals. The last one's a big kick to put us up 2 scores with under a couple minutes to play. I thought our kickoff team grew drastically from week one. We had given up a kickoff return for a touchdown in week one, and we made some personnel switches, but we just did it a little bit better. So I think special teams really carried the day for us, and our guys understand that we can win and lose games in special teams, and I think that was a big reason why we won the game.
And definitely in the first 2 weeks. I mean, you figure 2 games against 2 very tough regional opponents, both those games, if you guys don't make a kick or return a kick or block that punt on Saturday. And I thought that was a huge turning point. Westchester taking a little bit of momentum, but high snap, your guys rush the punt, block it, go out of the end zone, and then you come back down and take care of more business.
Yeah, Westchester's a good football team. When at the beginning of the week when we started digging into the opponent, I mean, they're playing with a lot of older guys. They're playing with fifth-year seniors and redshirt juniors, and obviously we'll get to the quarterback who was the player of the year over there in the East last year. But they're a really good football team. I think they're going to win a lot of football games. It was a battle all day. Could we have played better? Sure. I think there's some things on offense and defense that we left out there that we're not happy about, that we got to get corrected to continue to grow. But Westchester's a good football team, and it was good to secure a win.
Well, we talked a little bit last week of how dynamic their quarterback was, and one of the favorite things that I like to do whenever I'm up in the booth directing a game is kind of watch and see what adjustments teams make during the games. And I thought your defensive adjustment, because he's a guy that's just going to run around. He's a different kind of athlete, but You guys really did a good job of adjusting. I think you only had one splash play, and that was towards the end, and that was kind of a broken play anyhow.
Yep.
And that really, I think, limited what they could do on the offense.
Yeah, I like the way our defense is running to the football, and I think that's the biggest thing. When you play a quarterback that's as athletic as him, and the other thing, he throws it really well. You know, they completed 9 passes. One of them was we had 3 guys in the area and just didn't play. I think the one takeaway that I have defensively in the pass game is we got to play the ball better. You know, they completed 2 long passes that we've got guys right there. We just got to be able to play the ball. He got out on a long run. Man, he does it to everybody. You know, we had a guy spying him, and he just couldn't get there. But I thought overall our defense played really well. I thought they controlled the line of scrimmage. You know, good offenses are going to make plays. When you got the returning player of the year in the league, he's going to make plays, but we got to limit it, and I thought our defense did that.
And once again, on both sides of the ball, I mean, we always talk about the offensive and defensive lines for California. I thought the front 7 for the defense did a good job of getting in the backfield. And then you look on the other side of the ball, Westchester did a lot of things. Passing game wasn't clicking, but offensively, your team ran for over 160-some yards. So that happens up front too.
Yeah, we've got to play better. We've got to execute. I think, third downs is something, an area that we've got to work on. We're not really converting on third downs the way that we should. The pass game, we need work. We thought we could run the ball, and we did. We had some design quarterback runs. I think Roman Purcell, the quarterback, ran for 99 yards or 94 yards, and Bobby Boyd ran for, I think, another 78 or 80. When you can have that kind of balance in your run game, it's going to help us down the road. We think we had some things in the pass game, and it's a wrong route here, it's a bad read here, it's a misprotection call here that really we're killing ourselves right now offensively. I think we started well. We come out, we put points on the board, we get up 10-0. We've got good things going, but it just seems like at key times we make key mistakes. And it's, we sat down with the offense yesterday, and typically on Monday we'll meet positionally. We'll break up, and the O-line will meet, and the running backs meet, and we met as an entire offense yesterday. It had about 15 clips of nothing that Westchester did. It was all mistakes that we made, whether it was a mistake up front, a mistake by the quarterback, a mistake by the receiver. It's things that we're pressing a little bit right now that we just got to go out and play and execute what's called. And
one of the benefits of a rushing game like that is your time of possession, 34 minutes for the game, limiting Westchester to 26 minutes a game. And, those extra 8 minutes of possession time,
Yep.
I mean, if you average that over the course of the year, that's going to be good things for the team down the road.
Yeah, I thought we ran the ball effectively, but we've got, like I said, it's for us right now. It's improving on third down, and it's improving in the red zone. We've got to turn. I think we kicked 3 field goals each of the first 2 games. We got to turn some of those into touchdowns to widen that lead. But I thought that we talked about special teams earlier. The big kick to go up 2 scores with under 2 minutes was huge. But I thought we played well in the fourth quarter. I thought, that we scored on 2 straight possessions in the fourth quarter. We talked to our guys. There's always going to be a point in the game where the team makes plays, and this was the first time this year that our guys really responded. Westchester had taken the lead. We get the big block kick to get 2 points, but we still got to put drives together and end that game. We put a drive together for a touchdown, and we put a drive together for a field goal. I thought that was growth by our offense, but we got a long way to go in total. I think, when you look back at the defense, there's some things that our guys want back there. So, anytime you can grow and learn from a win, we'll take it.
And you mentioned ending the game, and if you watched the game, you weren't deja vu. The game ended the same way, and with a pick by Lexi Sangster. And again, you got to love that defense making a play at the end, victory formation. But it was just crazy because pretty much the same play, same part of the field. 2 weeks in a row.
Me and Lexi had the same talk we had last week. Let's understand situational football and let's get down. Keith Charney, I thought was going to tackle him. Good play by those guys, and I think it started with our front there getting some pressure. But Lexi's got a nose for the football, and the ice 2 games at home has been really good. But hopefully he understands after the talk we had immediately after the last knee was, you got to get down. He said, my dad was already yelling at me, So, but just growth and excited to do it at home.
And let's take a look back at this past weekend's exciting win against Westchester. And after the break, we'll look at standings highlights from last year's game against Lock Haven and break down This week, opponents, the Bald Eagles. You're watching The Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.
Gets the punt off. Fielded, muffed punt, but able to recover it. Ball still alive and recovered by California. Number 12, Tyler Long on the recovery. Change formation, they're going to hand off a little bit of trickery. Bobby Boyd rumbles in for the touchdown. Great design play by California. Man in motion again. A little bit of a bobbled snap there. It looks like the ball was recovered by California. Bobbled snap and California recovers. The kick is up and it is good. Kick is up and it is good into the lift over there. Vulcans went with the run-heavy package, but it doesn't matter as Barkley is in for the touchdown. He's going to look to the right and floats it and is caught for the touchdown. That is number 12, Matt Ayuvara. High snap for the punter and has to just kind of get it out. It's blocked out of the end zone and it's going to be a safety. Purcell looking, he's going to take it off himself, has some space, and Purcell rumbles in for the touchdown. And just like that, California is back in it. For the three, it was a kind of a bobbled hold, but the kick is good. Score 26-17, 2 minutes and 22 seconds remaining. Jordan looks, fires one deep down the field, intercepted. Alexi Sangster, the PSAC West Defensive Player of the Week. And just like that, California seals the deal.
Fall is back and so is Vulcan football. Follow the Vulcans every step of the way during the 2025 regular season. The season kicks off with a Thursday night clash versus Charleston. Then home September 13th versus Westchester. Home September 26th versus Lock Haven. September 27th at Slippery Rock. October 4th at home versus Seton Hill. October 11th at Edinburgh. Homecoming October 18th versus Clarion. At IUP October 25th. Home versus Frostburg State on November 1st. At Gannon November 8th. And the season finale at Shippensburg November 15th. Follow Cal Vulcans and CUTV for live links, highlights, and much more. Have you ever wanted a baseball universe at your fingertips? Well, now you can with On Deck Baseball, the card and dice game that lets you run your own fictional baseball universe or play as some of the great teams and players from the past. Dive into the fictional universe with a league of custom teams and players. But don't stop there, as there are expansion teams and rookie sets to keep the league going for years. If great teams are your thing, then check out the pro version with dozens of historical teams waiting to take the field. Step up to the plate with On Deck Baseball. Find out more at on-deckbaseballgame.com. That's on-deckbaseballgame.com.
Not the best win that we wanted, but hey, little things. Celebrate the little things.
Shout out Team Win, the guys, man. They worked hard. Hey, Caillou is the place to be. Keep packing the house. Hey, we got a long season ahead of us, but it's going to be good.
Takes the first snap, looking deep, has a man wide open inside of bald eagle territory, and nobody is going to catch him into the end zone for the Vulcan touchdown. Number 0, Davey Johnson. Looking to his right, has a receiver, and the pass is caught. Evading everything into the end zone is Tyre Young. Rosensteel to hold the kick from Biko is up, and Biko's kick is more than good. 10-10 the score, 14:09 left to go here. Ostrowski takes the snap, looking to his left again, has a man in the end zone, able to complete it for the touchdown. Number 3, Quan Williams, able to pull it in after another big hit taken from Ostrowski. Black looking, firing to the back of the end zone, has a man caught in the back of the end zone for the Vulcan touchdown. Amari Hopkins takes the snap. Vulcans attempting to fire it deep. Pass is picked off on the far side. Rashawn Murray. Quick throw on the near side, caught. 1 tackle broken, 2 tackles broken, 3 tackles broken, 4. As Young is inside of Vulcan territory, but he lost the football. And the Vulcans have it. Rosensteel to hold. Biko's kick is up. Anthony Biko's kick is good. Never a doubt about it. 20-17 the score. The Vulcans finally reclaim the lead. Black in the gun. Handoff to Boyd. Play action fooled me as well, and finds Amari Hopkins in the back of the end zone for the Vulcan touchdown.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show. What you saw there was highlights from last year's game against this week's opponent, the Lock Haven Bald Eagles. And before we bring Coach back on, we're going to put a bow on this past weekend's PSAC action. First weekend, as we mentioned before, of PSAC crossover play between the East and the West. So let's take a look at the scoreboards as we see, of course, California 26-24 over Westchester. Glenville State, the lone non-conference game at Millersville, wins 44-28. Seton Hill 31, Bloomsburg 28. Bloomsburg missed a field goal at the end of the game to send it to overtime. I think it was like a 23, 24-yarder. So Seton Hill getting a big win in week number 2. Clarion 31, Shippensburg 24. Kutztown going to Edinburgh, winning 34-0. East Stroudsburg 69, Gannon 22 on Saturday. IUP 42, Lock Haven 10. And then Slippery Rock coming back against Shepherd 35-28. That game went into overtime. We'll take a quick look at the very, very early in the season, PSAC West, East, and West standings. You see no conference games yet, and that'll continue after this week, as our last game of the first couple games of PSAC crossover play will be this weekend. And then briefly, we'll look at the national rankings, California moving up to number 8. And Coach, I know you don't like to say anything about rankings, but it is interesting to see the amount of regional teams in the national rankings, and the fact, you're starting to see a lot of teams move up and down the board.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the depth of the region, but also the PSAC. It's every week, man. You got to show up and play, and so I don't put much stock into those. We can move on to the next segment of the.
One of the interesting things about D2 football is the fact, like with the regions, the 4 regions, so you really have to take care of your backyard and conference play whether it's in division or out of division, is key to that, because if you don't take care of your business, you're going to be watching other people's business.
Well, no, exactly, and that's why we try and schedule the way that we do. We played Charleston the last 2 years, which has been the top team in the Mountain East Conference. We signed to play them another 2 years because we want to play good people in the region. You get more points for winning region games. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of teams that want to play us around here, so that's been a good deal. And Charleston went on the road and almost upset a really good West Alabama team this year that we think was ranked in the top 15 in the country. So that'll tell you the strength of the Charleston win. I think that's only going to get better.
Well, we're going to turn the page to this week's opponent, the Lock Haven Bald Eagles, coming into this game 1-1. This past weekend, as I mentioned, the scoreboards, they lost 42-10. Coach, we played Lock Haven last year at Lock Haven, first time we played them in a while. I know a lot of changes between last year's team and this year's team, but and I know you've watched a lot of film in the last 72 hours. What do we see about Lock Haven? We'll start first on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think everything revolves around their quarterback. They've got a big tailback that's a really good player, but I think it starts with their quarterback. He's a really, really good football player, can make off-platform throws. He scrambles well, and probably different than the young man from Westchester. When he scrambles, he's looking to throw it. I've seen some throws that he's made with guys hanging on him and cross his body. He's a dangerous guy. He's a senior. I believe he's a coach's son. You can tell he understands what they're trying to do offensively. I think it all starts with him, but then they got a good run game, and he's got some weapons outside. So, we're going to have to play really good team defense. We're going to have to, what we call plaster. When he starts scrambling around, we're going to have to plaster up some guys and not allow them to. I think they get a lot of big plays when they're off schedule. And we probably didn't do a great job of that this week of playing the football in that situation. So we've got to get better there. But I think it starts, with those two guys, their quarterback and their tailback.
We saw the quarterback last year at Lock Haven, and he had a fantastic year last year. Now moving on to the defensive side of the ball, I believe I was doing the two deep yesterday, so I believe they play a 4-3 or a multiple front. But what do they bring on that side of the ball?
Yeah, they're a base under front. They'll have four down. They're very active up front. I don't know that they're huge up front, but they're really athletic. I think they've got one defensive end, number 5, that's a really good pass rusher. Another kid, number 94, is a really good pass rusher. They got 2 kids inside that are extremely active. An athletic defense. They run to the ball. They'll do some different things coverage-wise. But you can just see kind of the team speed that they have on defense. Not a huge blitz team. They'll blitz here and there, and they like to blitz their inside linebackers. But it's going to be a challenging team. They're 1-1. They had a big home win week 1 against Glenville, where they played really good defense. I think the final score was like 16-13, if I'm not mistaken. Went on the road and had a tough outing against IUP. That happens to a lot of people. IUP is a really good football team. I'm sure they have some things that they need to work on that they didn't feel good about. But they're going to come in here, and I talked to the team yesterday. They're going to come in here ready to play. We're going to get everybody's best shot, and I think we saw that against Westchester. Westchester's a really, really good football team. I think they're going to be, they're going to make some noise in the eastern side, and Lock Haven's right there with them. So we've got to play better. I told our team the focus is on us this week. We've got to outwork Lock Haven this week, and we've got to correct the things that we're screwing up to have a chance to have success.
And I was able to watch a little bit of their first week game against Glenville, because that was the week we played on Thursday, and at least on the defensive side of the ball, it looked a little bit like us, where they're finishing plays, so it should be a hard-hitting game on Saturday. And what do you got to tell your team? Because close games, one play here or there is going to make the difference.
Yeah, and our guys understand that. We've got to continue to grow in special teams and make that a weapon for us. I really like our return game right now. Deontay Williams is doing a good job there, but then we got some young guys that are kind of pushing him. I like what our punt return team is doing, whether it's blocking a kick or to getting last 2 weeks they've had 2 scores, which is really good. The kickoff team showed growth, like I said earlier. We just got to get better about our details, and right now it's not necessarily the opponent that is making us cause mistakes. It's us, and so we got to do a better job as coaches. If we're not getting them to understand and do the right thing, then it's on us as well. So, that's going to be the focus for us this week.
Well, I got another focus for you, Coach. As I go through the schedule of the PSAC, you got to think about your pitch to Vulcan Nation to get them out this weekend. But before we before we tease everything for this Saturday's game, let's look at what's going on in the PSAC this week. Again, week 2 of divisional crossover play. 2 games at noon, Lock Haven at California, then Gannon at Kutztown, and then 1 o'clock game, Shepherd at Clarion. Several 2 o'clock games, Edinburgh at Bloomsburg, Millersville at IUP, Seton Hill at Westchester, and then 6 o'clock game, Shippensburg at Slippery Rock. But the game you want to pay attention to, of course, is the Lock Haven at California game at noon. Coach, and here's what I'm going to say. You can't get a fist bump from Coach after the game if you're not there.
Exactly.
So you got to be there. It's going to be a beautiful game. We should do some kind of promotion. I don't know if you guys deal with it on the sideline with the lantern flies, but apparently we were letting lantern flies in for free on Saturday. So come ready to stomp on them.
I asked me if Mike Mammarella, I believe, one of my former teammates, asked me if I could do something about the lantern flies. And so I'm working. I'm talking to our environmental science department here and seeing if there's anything we can do to put a bubble over Adamson Stadium.
I'm pretty sure, Coach, if you could guarantee a solution to lantern flies, you'll be a 5-term governor in Pennsylvania, because it was a heck of a thing on Saturday. But all kidding aside, it's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday. Once again, no rain in the forecast. I think high right now is supposed to be 78 degrees. So come on out, cheer on the Vulcans. I thought it was a pretty good atmosphere on Saturday.
I think we need to encourage the students to come up and tailgate a little bit. I know my wife and daughter will have their tailgate rolling. We're doing a really good job of getting alumni back involved and excited about that. But this is, you've got to get to the home games, because we actually have to go on the road in a week. This is the 10th and final home game in this stands. I don't think the Pirates played 10 in a row at home this year. So we got to get up to Adamson Stadium. This is a fun group to watch. They play with a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and the fans here can make a difference. And I'm going to try and get out to some student groups this week to encourage them to attend. I know the Greeks were there in full force last week, but it's just a great atmosphere, and come watch a team that's working really hard.
Well, I can't say it any better than that. That's why you're the coach and probably future governor of the Pennsylvania with this lantern fly solution. But if you can't be there, if you're too far away or for whatever, you have a doctor's excuse, CUTV and CUTV Sports has you covered on Saturday. Game will be live on YouTube on CUTV Sports 1. It'll also be live on the PSAC Digital Network. And if you want to watch it on terrestrial cable on Atlantic Broadband or BreezeLine, it'll be live on those channels as well. Or if you're out of the area and you don't like that and you want the traditional cable experience, download our Cablecast app and you can watch all our programs for free. There's a lot. It used to be
I don't even know how you remember all that stuff.
I'm just saying some things, and if it's wrong, I'll edit it out. But Coach, thanks again for being here on the show. Like I said,
appreciate it.
Nothing better on a Tuesday morning to do, and hopefully we'll see Vulcan Nation in full force on Saturday. For Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.